There we go. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter. Let that just run in the background there. Let's see. Need a mouse pointer. So thanks for showing up. I really didn't expect anyone to actually be in this chat because, you know, it's a holiday for a lot of people. So thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Andy, Rich, Andrew, Audrey, Enzo. Say some quick hellos here. Garen and Emotion. And Emotion, thanks for joining us on the server. Good to have you. Eric. Let's see. James. Keep on going through here. Steve. All the usual suspects. Teosin. Hey there. I don't know if you're new, but welcome if you are. Master Machetier. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but you right back at you. So I'm glad everybody's shown up. I am full of ham. My son came over too. So my wife and him are out there doing Eastery things, catching back up. So it's all good. My son moved out last September. He's 22. And so now he only visits once in a while, which is awesome, right? I shouldn't say that, right? I love my son very much. He is the most important thing in my life, along with my wife, but and the dog. The dog is very important too. But the fact that he has launched successfully, it makes me so proud. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about this. What's going on in here? We're here for synthesizers and things like that. So you'll notice, actually you can't really see it. There's nothing. The modular has left us. The modular is behind that curtain, actually. And it's pieced up and it's going away. But in this space here, if I sell all the modular parts, as I intend to, this will, maybe in a week or a month or two, contain my first ever Dave Smith designed synth. There will be something of the Prophet lineage here, maybe. So, fingers crossed. I gotta get a bunch of people to buy a bunch of modular stuff. So, let's see. Quattro Bugina, hey, welcome. Let's see. And yeah, big moment for a parent. It was awesome. The modular is gone. Enzo, I'm sorry. So I still have all of that. You can't see it's over there. And I still have semi-modulars. And I still love modular, but I'm doing it in the box because I got issues with fluctuations in voltage and, you know, component precision and things like that. For those of you who maybe worked in VCV Rack or one of the sort of digital emulations of modular, making the move to full-blown modular can sometimes be somewhat frustrating because when in the computer modular, it's like, oh yeah, it's from negative volts to 5 volts, no problem. And the min and max are exactly -5 and +5 volts. When you get into the real world and components have variances, right? Tolerances, it can be a little frustrating, and I have issues with tuning. And so for me, modular is actually an exercise in frustration. And I don't like to collect modular. I like to collect synths, specifically keyboard synthesizers, old school, and desktop modules. And so, you know, for what was invested in the modular, I can pick up, you know, like a Take 5 or something nice like that, perhaps a Hydra Synth Deluxe or something like that. That's the plan anyway. So don't be sad. If you really, there's plenty of, in this chat lounge right here, there's easily $40,000 in modular if you just watch everyone else's streams. So you can just go there and watch Andy and watch Animotion and all the others, right? It's all good. And that's fine. So we're gonna focus on synths because that's what I love to collect. So I'm working on a video actually that talks about it's a philosophy video talking about the battle between the creator and the collector. That'll be out in a week or so, something like that. Don't miss it. It's good. The sound, if you close your eyes, the sound is the same, right? So, let's see. You love your Prophet. I've never owned anything in the Prophet lineage, so I'm hoping this will be good. tolerances unexpected quirks. That's very true. But as I'm getting older, my body is providing plenty of unexpected quirks. I would prefer if my hardware was more stable, right? So we do not talk about the Cosman partners maybe peeking around. Yes. For all I know, my family is actually watching this stream from the living room. Who knows? But if they are, hi, Ford. Anyway, so what are we doing with this today? So what synths are we using from a hardware perspective? We've got a hybrid thing going on here. So we have, if I bring this down, come here, you. So we have the bass guitar droning. It's a Taurus pedal emulation and the bass. That's what you hear droning. If I shut up and stop ducking it. And I'll leave this little ARP going. But we've got, I have rediscovered my love of the Waldorf Blofeld. Just as a pad machine, it's awesome. I know it can do way more than that. But I woke up yesterday and in my inbox was an email from Waldorf saying, hey, if you come buy 3 expansion libraries for your Blofeld, we'll give you half off all of them. And an expansion library for the Blofeld's like $20 US. So it's like getting 3 more banks of sounds for essentially $35. 20, split it in half. And that was like a no-brainer. So I have a bunch of new Blofeld sounds I need to go through. Not always the most exciting thing, can be, but real good as far as like beds and pads are concerned. Then we're also, we've got very Berlin School Vangelis style horn. Real clean, not CS80, it's not warbly. This is the Novation Summit. I didn't go all in on the box. What do you mean I went all in on the box? I have way more hardware. So these last 2, these are hardware I'm playing. I'm controlling them through the box because I don't want to carry a camera around with me and do shaky cam as I go from synth to synth. Well, nobody wants that. Plus, it's not very flattering for my figure. This way I can control it, constrain it, and crop it down, and you don't see the paunch so much. Dad bod, right? Let's see. Mr. Bond. Yes, synthesizer, I expect you to die. Let's see. Go grab your Steinberg freebies. Yep. Hey, Redbox, good to see you. Steve. Who else is stuck in and jumped in that I missed? Did I miss? I said hello to Enzo, I think. Anyway, this is the Summit. I like the Summit a lot. Or the Peak, if you don't want a Summit. The Peak is a great synth, and the Summit's just 2 of them sort of bolted together. I have a demonstration today I want to show you guys on the difference between using wavetables and scanning through them of really complex things and having a wavetable and scanning through it of just basic waves. I actually prefer the basic waves. There's nothing wrong with weird wavetables. I mean, they're awesome, don't get me. I'm not saying they're not awesome. But sometimes the clean ones work better for certain situations, right? Don't cry, Rich. If you heard it in my headphones, you'd probably get ear fatigue. The Blofeld is incredibly tedious to program. I agree. That is why I'm kind of like just using patch libraries for presets. But I do have a copy of Patchbase. Patchbase is a not free, but very, very inexpensive and very ugly sort of universal patch library and editor. And it's modular in that you buy, you get the system, the sort of the host, and you purchase specific synths that you plunk in, and it gives you a UI for editing them. And the UI is really, really ugly, but it's really, really usable, and it works the same on the desktop, on the computer or on an iOS device. And so I find programming the Blofeld, or at least tweaking the presets that I install on the Blofeld using Patchbase to be very pleasant. So there's feedback for you. The front panel of the Blofeld is almost unusable. But I love the synth, don't get me wrong. Let's see. Two bolted together plus the dual. Yeah, I like the Summit. I'm really looking forward to comparing the Summit with the Hydrasynth Deluxe, because they're really similar architectures from a two synths bolted together sort of perspective. And I don't know, I think the Hydrasynth people may have been influenced by the Summit guys as far as how you activate individual layers and stuff, because it's basically the same. So anyway, so that's the Summit. And then we've got what is this? Oh, this is the Mod Wave. I like the Korg Mod Wave. I really like the Mod Wave, the Wave State, and the Op6. And I've got them, the virtual ones and the hardware ones, and I've converted the hardware one so there's no keyboard. It's just in a unit. And of course, as soon as I did that, they came out with the rackable ones. But I like programming the Op6 and the Wave State and the Mod Wave, that's what this is, in the machine, in the box, and then just moving those patches over. Yeah, the Disting Mark IV is a great unit, and it definitely has a bazillion variants of wavetable in it for sure. Andy will be happy about that, Audrey. That's why it's called the Summit, not the Peaker or the Peakist. Yes. Let's see. All right, so that's the Mod Wave. I'm using it as a pseudo lead. And then here's two that are in the box. I'll get back to those. So then we've got, what is this? Speaking of wavetable, let's do this a little lower. Get those. That's a third wave. I have a lot of wavetable synths now. And then, what is this one? My eyes are going bad. Oh, the Cobalt 8. I like that little synth too. I don't know what the state of Modal is. Are they still in business? I know they had a Carbon, the new synth Carbon, which was really sort of like a mashup of the Argon and the Cobalt. I think the marketing wasn't great, and I don't really follow the marketing stuff. Someone remind me what the Carbon is all about from Modal. You know, the third wave definitely has that, you can run it so that it has all the aliasing and crustiness of the old PPG wavetables in there, but they've also got like high resolution wavetables in there as well as a smoothing algorithm. So it doesn't necessarily have to be harsh rich. I mean, and so that's a great segue. Let's talk about wavetables and how harsh they can be. All right. I'm going to leave the drone running, but stop that. Okay. So let's look at this device. Is that showing up in there? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right, so what's playing? I've got this little ARP running. All right, now if you look on the lower right, oh, I need to sustain it. Hold on. Oh man, did I break another sustain pedal? All right, well, when all else fails, turn on the hold. All right. So this is a wavetable that just contains basic shapes. It goes from sine to square through saw. I find that to be really pleasing to my ears. Right, now if we contrast that, with this one. Come here, you. They want to see you. There we go. I might have to turn this up. Hold on a minute. Now this is still, I've chose this because it's still basically a very soft wavetable. But if we go to the fancy wavetables, let's go to one where was I using before? Was it Ring Mod? There's like a dubstep one in here. I'm missing it. So I like the sound of this as well, but sometimes in the wavetables it just gets too, I don't know, too harsh. Oh well, my demonstration's dying because I didn't write down which wavetable I wanted to audition here. There was an ugly one. Oh, that just sounds cool. Let's combine that with the other one. All right, we have to take a little aside here. My recipe for Berlin School is pretty boring, probably. Just give me 2 ARPs. Just give me 2 ARPs and a bass. I'm good to go. Carbonate is a match between the cobalt and the argon. Thank you, Garen. Yeah, if it comes. Yeah, I know. They're having trouble. What are we in today? We're in B minor pentatonic, but I keep playing little B minor minor grace notes. Tap the bass. You got it. Hey, 5-pin. Good to see you. We're totally just like musically masturbating at this point. Let's sustain this. Drone. And go back to our summit. Yeah, there's a bunch of things. So it's like in the 10K range for a lot of things. DX7 patches. If you go search for single cycle waveforms for your sampler, your wavetable synth, there's like a library out there on GitHub that's got like 45,000 single cycle waveforms. And they're like, we generated these mathematically, which, okay, fine. But out of that 45,000 mathematically generated, how many sound distinctly different from their neighbor? So I'm wondering, if you bin them down, how many actual buckets would you have? Would you have 256? Would you have 1024? I don't know. 2 ARPs and Omnisphere, yeah, basically. Yeah, Omnisphere for the bass. I think everyone here knows. Would it be a lot of buckets? I'm not sure. I mean, it's still a lot of buckets, but 45,000. It's, what is it like? What was that thing that was like the Valkyrie? What synth? There was a synth that they were going to call the Valkyrie, and Waldorf licensed it from the guy, and it became the thing that they abandoned or nobody loves. What is that synth? It's sort of like the Virus, Waldorf's Virus, but it was originally called the Valkyrie. The Kyra, that's it. I really wanted a Virus, but I have a Mac, and so there's no good support, and the Virus is now completely end of life, right? But for a while there, I was looking at the Kyra because I was like, yeah, that's like a supported Virus, maybe. But it has the same problem then, that it's got a bazillion wavetables in it, and apparently they're all very similar. Or, well, the bucket count is not great, right? New way for the Mac to catch a virus. Funny. I really wanted to like the Kyra. I came really close, but it was a little, I mean, I like it, but I wanted to own one, especially the seafoam green one. The collector in me. Like, if you go to Waldorf's website, they're selling them still. And there's one that's like the seafoam green color, and it's like, of all the synths I have one other sort of green synth. That's the Op6. I've got red synths, I've got blue synths, a lot of black, a lot of gray, both like dark gray and light gray. I've got one synth that's like brown. That's the the K2, the MS-20 clone from Behringer. But I don't have any green synths. We are talking to the collector now. We're not talking to the creative. Isn't the Behringer Neutron red as well? And the Proton, which still hasn't come out, is a pretty blue. I'd like one of those. Leberwurstgrün. Am I saying that right? Leberwurstgrün. My R's, when I try and speak German, my R's come out as French R's. I'm sorry, Redwalks, if I'm offending. teach me. All right. So I told this story before. I took German in high school. And much to the dismay of my German teacher, Ignazio, Herr Lechina, Ignazio Lechina. He's a very nice man from Italy who taught us German with an Italian accent. So my Hochdeutsch, when I do speak it, people go, "Are you from Italy?" Kind of droney today. I'm not really going anywhere distinctive with this. So Leberwurst gone bad. So is it like green, like because it's turned? Ugh. I don't know. He was a good guy, Herr Lechina. He always threatened to bang on us. He's like, Studenten, you behave or I bang on you. Anyway. Back in the day, when schools had like corporal punishment. Now, not a thing. Oh yeah, the Novation, the mini novas, right? The Ultra Nova, those were all pretty blue. All right, let's try and do something here. Okay, you. We'll turn off our ARPs here. And you. All right, and you need to go back to let's go back to a plain old. Ooh. All right, that'll work. Okay. And our bass. Good. So let's lay something down. What should we do? B minor pentatonic. What's our tempo? 88 BPM. In celebration of Easter and Dr. Emmett Brown, we're going to do something at 88 BPM. We'll see if we travel through time. And we'll start with a pad. I have no rhythm set up today, except the bass. All right, so what are we doing? I'm going to walk through this. I haven't walked through a live looping session in a while. So I've got an 8-bar pattern set up by default. So in Ableton, as you can in, I'm sure, every other DAW, I've got the loops set to be a fixed length. All right. I can hold this button down and choose. Do I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 16, 32 bars? Right. We're set up for 8 bars right now. And I'll go over to my next synth. This is the Summit with our horn. I'm going to lay an 8-bar pattern over this. I've got a bunch of patterns in here still. Let's delete them. There we go. Okay. Lay a little ARP down over this, something gentle. And we're going to do this as a 16-bar pattern because I want to put some ARP stuff down with a lot of space in it. So I need a long enough loop to have some space. little cluster here. All right, so that's one ARP. So we've got our pad, we've got a little horn melody sort of going there. We've got our first ARP that's doing eighth notes within dotted eighth ARP. And I'm going to do the other wavetable ARP that's doing 16th notes. Let that run for a bit. That needs to percolate in my head for a second. What are we talking about here? Hey, Wabbit. Happy Easter, Wabbit. There's a joke to be had there somehow. So you're back. He's been out delivering eggs all morning, or hiding them. All right, let's do 32 bar pattern, so really long, and we will use this lead. Nope, didn't like that. Repetition. Repeat it again an octave down. So now we've got some ARP beds, we've got our pads running, we've got a little lead melody doing its thing. The kids are very needy, aren't they, Wabbit, on Easter? that bass line's 32 bars long. If you look at the pattern at the bottom, you can see, so we got 4 repetitions of 8 bars. So we're going real simple. And then we start putting a little rhythm in there and a little faster rhythm. And then the 4th repetition is just bass solo. I want to just listen to this once. Floating at this point. That might be because I'm full of ham. Someone say Kung Pao chicken? Garen. My weakness. Actually, General Gauss is my weakness. I like Kung Pao too, but my son is the Kung Pao Meister. Right. Nice. So we're in the middle of Ramadan, or we're approaching the end of Ramadan. I don't know if you have any Muslim friends. I have Muslim coworkers, and I didn't realize we were in the middle of Ramadan. And I brought a bunch of pastry in as a gift last week. Like, I brought pastry for the whole office, and they can't eat it. They're fasting, and nobody said anything. I'm like, oh, I feel like a total heel. So I'm gonna have to bake them some cookies when it's over next week. So. Chinese food lasts for a few days. Yeah. We're going to have, excuse me, speaking of ham, it's coming back up. We're going to be eating ham for many days, unless we can give some to my son when he leaves. That'll happen. My father lives a few miles from here, and he's actually sick right now, so he didn't come over. But we might be able to gift him some ham too. They eat after sundown, I know, but it's generally rude to at noon on the day bring delicious-looking pastries and lay them out on the community table and say, please, everyone, eat some. So, like, whoops. That's okay. All right. It's Hamalorian. That's too funny. Have a mess around? Hamma mess around? Sure. All right. Let's start bringing this out. We'll let the bass finish. 16 more bars, and then we'll bring it to a close. This is the part when you're live looping that you really sort of become a DJ, because you're either thinking about the parts you're going to add, or you're thinking about how to take out the parts that you're trying to bring it down from. Bringing parts out. There we go. And we're done. So, let's see. I see you play the push 3. Can you also do that on the 1? Yes. So all of the pushes you can live loop on. The only difference there's a big difference between push 1 and push 2, in that push 2 has a display up here, whereas push 1 just has like a text-based display. But Ableton still supports push 1. So like Ableton 12, there's a bunch of features that get backported, so they still work. You lose a little functionality if you stay with the older models. The only difference between the version 2 and the version 3 is some of the controls. Version 3 has a few extra control knobs on here, and they've got an option for displaying the clip view on the display itself, which is super convenient, but absolutely not required. So everything I do on push 3, you can do on push 2 for certain. So yes, Audrey, you totally can. Go, if you can get a deal on a push 1, go for it. The main difference is the construction. The very first push was not made by Ableton. It was made by Akai, I think. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think push 1 was made by Akai. Push 2 was made by Ableton. Push 3 is made by Ableton. Push 2 is strictly a controller. Push 3 is a controller that can also have a PC embedded in it, so it can run in standalone mode. Push 3 has an audio interface in it and a USB hub support. So like I run USB out to my MIDI interface. I'm not using the audio interface on this, but I have, and it's very good. But it's limited in the number of channel inputs. It has 2 channel inputs and then 8 ADAT channel inputs. And I just use the giant Motu conglomerate monster here because I have all these synths I want to run in. Push 3 is very nice, but it's a luxury item. It is not. Also, so here's the contrast. If you use Ableton or any other DAW, whatever that does live looping, if you want a grid, you can get a push. Push is pretty tightly coupled to Ableton. It will work in other things. They've added software hacks and things like that, or support for it in other things. You can use it in Bitwig and things like that with a little effort. But if you just want a grid and you want to be able to record clips and then control the launching and silencing of the loops that you're recording, check out the Launchpad Pro Mark III. That is a very playable grid. The surface of it feels good. It's very playable, velocity sensitive, poly aftertouch, not MPE. Push 3 has MPE, Push 2 does not. But a Launchpad Pro Mark III will set you back $300 maybe, $400 new, I think. It's much smaller, it's portable, and it has a built-in 4-track sequencer. So you can use it in a DAW-less setting as well if you like. I have one and I use it all the time. It's the one I travel with. So it's up to you. The push is if you're going all in on Ableton, the push is the de facto best controller for Ableton. But it's not a requirement. So you can use a push 1 and be perfectly happy. And you can see clip view with push 2 on Live 12 now. Great. So they're still supporting the stuff. They're backporting features as it goes. You just so what do you don't have an audio interface, you don't have MPE, and you don't have the jog wheel. I think is the only difference between 3 and 2. Like I would stay with the 2 if you've got it, and unless you really want MPE in the audio. Launchpad Pro Mark III is awesome. 300. Okay, great. So Wabbit almost sold his. Yeah, whenever I go out to perform somewhere where I take a canvas bag with a synth and a mixer and a drum machine in it, and I take the Launchpad Pro, and that is both contains my performance in that it's got a sequencer and a series of projects, and I just bring it up and play. I start, it sequences some of the synths, and then I sit there and play along, basically, is my performance. It works great. The push is just a little too clunky to drag out a lot. So anyway, where are we? 252. So I think I'm probably done. It is Easter. You all probably have families you should be talking to. I know I should be. But yeah, so as far as updates, modular has been disassembled. It's going to go away. We're going to try and get a Take 5 in here and possibly a Hydrasynth Deluxe. And if I get really lucky and people absolutely pay more than they should for my modules, I might be looking at an Osmos, maybe. I don't know. So I am working on a video that will come out sometime this week that is a sort of philosophical discourse on what the creative part of me is and how it fights with the collector side of me. Well, they don't actually fight anymore. It's just an expansion on previous sort of philosophical videos that I did. I did one on how I don't have gas anymore. Gas isn't a thing. I just go shopping when I have the funds, and like the modular, right? The modular was an experiment. I wanted to do January, want to do it in modular. And so I bought into modular across most of the fall and Christmas. I built the system. I really enjoyed it. You guys, many of you watched it. And then when I was done, I accomplished what I wanted. I did 31 days of modular Berlin school, had a great time with it. Considered keeping it as a pluck machine, even though I know it could do so much more. It was a bit of a wasted resources treating it like a pluck machine. But I don't, the collector in me is like, I'm not interested in that. The creative liked it. The creative in me was like, this is super useful and interesting. And I enjoyed playing with it. It was my toy. But the collector, space is limited, funds are limited, right? And so I'm like, I have other things that the creative in me also is interested in. I've never laid hands on a Prophet style synth. I literally have just fiddled with it very briefly at KnobCon at one of the New England Synth Fest, played with the Take 5. Never played a Prophet of any sort. And it's a gap in my collection. I don't have any Dave Smith synths. And so Prophets, Take 5's a relatively reasonable entry point. And so trading out a modular that I know very well, I'm very familiar with it from years ago. And while it's nice, it isn't new to me. So I considered, the collector's like, just get rid of it and pick up a Take 5. So that's what I'm doing. And so I've got a video coming out on that philosophical discussion, which may be intensely boring and you don't care about, in which case just skip it. But I'm working on it. So I have fun no matter what I play with. You are absolutely right, Rabbit. I've reached the point where I've reconciled, like synths are fun. Like there's no regret anymore. Like I bought this modular and now I'm selling it and I'm losing 20% on basically for 6 months worth of having a modular. I have no problem with that. So I'm excited to try new things. So Take 5, Pro 3, Prophet Rev 2, 8 voice are the Dave Smith gateway drugs. Yes. The Pro 3 looks really interesting too. But I have a subsequent 37 and I know they're not the same, but they are brother from another mother kind of thing. So we'll see where it goes. And everything's wired up. One day I'll explain this too. I'm basically set up so that sitting here in the cockpit, I can go to the push and I can basically say, create a track and then I say, here's all the hardware synths in the room. Oh, add a Minotaur. Boop. And the Minotaur routing loads itself. The Minotaur's turned on. Everything just do. It's like a transformer. It shapes itself, and bam, I've got a track with the Minotaur. It's like, oh, I want to get the Mini Moog on there. Boop. It's there. So templating and automation is a great tool. So I'm pretty happy that as long as I've got space and MIDI cables and Ethernet through which to run audio and enough inputs, I'm pretty good. So we'll just keep going. Not a drummer from another mother. Well, that's okay. Functionally equivalent. I'm not sure if they're functionally equivalent. There's a big holy war in certain circles around Subsequent 37 and Pro 3. They have similar shapes, both physically and architecturally, but their sound is significantly different, I think. And there are nuanced things in the performance features that are very different. But I love my Subsequent 37. I wouldn't say no if a Pro 3 came at the right price, but for now, I have other things. So it's on the list. All right, it's 2:57. I think I'm good. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope this was entertaining. Have a great rest of your Sunday, or I guess for some of you it might already be Monday. But appreciate it that you spend time with me. And let's see, where's my mouse? All right, I think we're good. Everybody have a great week. I will talk to you later. Those of you on the Discord server, I will see you probably later today. All right, thanks very much, and see ya.